Turn on the news during any major conflict. You'll see fear, you'll see outrage, you'll see grief, but you'll also see something else. Excitement. People refreshing updates every hour, posting flags in their bios, arguing passionately online, talking about strategy like it's a sport. And it makes you wonder, why do some people feel energized by war? Not just supportive, not just concerned, but almost alive. Let's talk about it. First, we need to separate something important. There's a difference between people who care about justice and people who are drawn to the intensity of conflict itself. War is chaos, but psychologically, chaos can feel clarifying. In everyday life, most of us feel uncertain. We don't always know our purpose. We question our value. We feel invisible. War removes ambiguity. Suddenly there's a clear us and them, right and wrong, heroes and villains. The world feels simpler, and the human brain loves simplicity. Psychologists call this cognitive closure, our desire for firm answers instead of uncertainty. War provides that in extreme form. It compresses complexity into something emotionally digestible. For someone who feels lost or powerless in ordinary life, conflict can feel like structure. It gives direction. It gives identity. It gives belonging. That's the first layer. The second layer is biological. War imagery activates the nervous system. Explosions, movement, urgency, high stakes. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between real danger and observed danger through media. It still releases adrenaline, dopamine, stress hormones, and adrenaline can feel good. It sharpens focus, it heightens emotion, it makes you feel awake. In a world where many people feel numb, overstimulated, but underfulfilled, that surge of intensity can be addictive. It's not that they love suffering, they love feeling something powerful. There's also the tribal instinct. Human beings evolved in small groups. Survival depended on loyalty. Protecting your tribe meant survival. War narratives activate that ancient wiring. When people strongly identify with a nation, ideology, or group, defending it feels personal. An attack on us feels like an attack on the self. Neuroscience shows that when our group is threatened, the brain's threat centers activate similarly to physical danger. So supporting war in some cases doesn't feel aggressive, it feels protective, it feels righteous, and righteousness is intoxicating. Because when you believe you are morally right, aggression doesn't feel like aggression anymore. It feels justified. There's another uncomfortable layer. For some individuals, especially those who feel chronically powerless, war creates a sense of borrowed strength. They may not control their job, their relationships, their future, but identifying with a powerful military force or national movement allows them to psychologically attach to strength. We are strong. We will win. They can't defeat us. Notice the language, it's collective. War can become an emotional shortcut to power, and then there's desensitization. Modern media packages war in digestible clips, maps, graphics, music, commentary. It can start to resemble entertainment. When violence is filtered through screens, the human cost becomes abstract. Numbers instead of faces, strategy instead of suffering. Distance makes intensity easier to consume, and when something is repeated enough, the brain normalizes it. For some, following war becomes less about destruction and more about stimulation, narrative, and momentum. But here's something important. Loving war is rarely about loving death. It's about loving certainty, intensity, belonging, purpose, power, all the things modern life quietly withholds. And this is where we need nuance. There's a difference between analyzing the psychology of it and endorsing it. Understanding doesn't equal approval, because prolonged exposure to conflict mentality changes people. Studies on aggression show that constant us versus them thinking reduces empathy over time. The brain becomes less flexible, more reactive. When identity fuses too tightly with conflict, peace can actually feel uncomfortable. Calm feels boring. Dialogue feels weak. Complexity feels threatening. That's when war stops being an event and becomes a mindset. And mindsets can outlive the battlefield. So if you've ever noticed yourself feeling unusually drawn to war updates, heated debates, or the emotional charge of conflict, pause. Ask yourself, is it the cause I care about or the intensity it gives me? Is this about justice or about feeling powerful. There's no shame in noticing the adrenaline, but awareness matters because the same psychological mechanisms that make war feel meaningful can also narrow empathy. And empathy is fragile. Human beings are wired for both aggression and compassion. Context determines which one we feed. War feeds urgency, identity, and clarity. Peace feeds patience, nuance, and restraint. One feels louder, the other feels slower. But slower doesn't mean weaker. If anything, it requires more strength to hold complexity than to choose sides instantly. So the psychology of people who love war isn't about labeling them as monsters. It's about recognizing how deeply human needs for belonging, certainty, power, and stimulation can attach themselves to conflict. And once you see that, you start to see something else. The opposite of war isn't weakness, it's emotional regulation. It's tolerance for uncertainty. It's the ability to feel intense emotions without needing an external battlefield to discharge them. That's harder and quieter, but far more powerful. If this gave you a new lens to look at something uncomfortable, sit with it, think about it, maybe even challenge it. And if you value conversations that explore psychology without oversimplifying it, stay connected here, because understanding why we're drawn to certain things is the first step toward choosing them more consciously. Thanks for spending these minutes thinking deeply. I'll see you in the next one.